On a cold autumn afternoon in New York City, 17-year-old Ethan Parker stepped out of his father's black luxury car, dressed in an expensive suit and wearing a watch worth thousands of dollars. He believed the world belonged to people like him, his father. Daniel Parker owned one of the biggest real estate companies in the city. Ethan had grown up surrounded by wealth, fancy schools, and expensive vacations. He had everything money could buy, but had never learned one important lesson: kindness. As Ethan walked toward a cafe, he noticed an old homeless man sitting on the sidewalk. The old man's clothes were torn, and his gray beard covered most of his face. In front of him was a small cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Anything helps." "God bless you," Ethan laughed with his friends. "Look at him," he said. "Some people are just too lazy to work." His friends laughed too. The old man looked up at Ethan with tired eyes. Instead of getting angry, he simply smiled. "I hope life is always kind to you." "Son," Ethan rolled his eyes. "I don't need your blessings." As he walked away, the old man quietly whispered, "One day, you'll understand." That evening, Ethan returned to his mansion. His grandmother, Margaret Parker, was looking through an old photo album. "Ethan," she called. He sat beside her. She pointed to a picture of a young family. "This was your grandfather." William Ethan looked carefully. The man in the picture had kind eyes and a warm smile. "What happened to him?" Ethan asked. Margaret sighed. "Your father doesn't like talking about him." "Why?" "Because they had a terrible argument many years ago." Daniel Parker entered the room and immediately closed the album. "Enough about him, but where is Grandpa now?" Ethan asked. Daniel looked away. "I don't know." The next day, Ethan saw the same homeless man again. This time, the old man was feeding breadcrumbs to pigeons. Ethan walked over. "You're still here." The old man smiled. "I suppose I am. You should get a job." The old man chuckled. "I used to have one. What did you do?" "I built houses." Ethan laughed. "You build houses?" "Yes, and now you're homeless. Life can change, faster than people think." The old man reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver pocket watch. "I've kept this for 50 years. Ethan noticed something strange. The watch had the letter P engraved on it, just like the Parker family symbol. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the watch. He asked his grandmother, "Did Grandpa ever own a pocket watch?" Margaret's face turned pale. "Yes." "What did it look like?" "It had a silver cover and the Parker family crest." Ethan's heart began to race. The next morning, Ethan rushed back to find the old man. He was sitting in the same place. "Can I see your watch?" The old man handed it to him. Inside was an old family picture. A young woman, a little boy, and a younger version of the old man. On the back were the words, "To William, our family forever." Ethan froze. "What is your name?" The old man looked at him. "William Parker." Ethan couldn't breathe. "My grandfather's name was William Parker." The old man smiled sadly. "I know. What? I've known who you were since the first day I saw you." Ethan sat down beside him. "What happened?" William looked toward the sky. "Your father and I built a construction company. Together, we became successful. But I wanted to help poor families by building affordable homes. Your father wanted bigger profits. They argued for years. One day, Daniel accused William of ruining the business. William left with almost nothing after his wife died. He lost his home. His pride kept him from asking for help. I watched your father become rich from a distance, and I watched you grow up through a newspaper. Pictures." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "Why didn't you tell us?" William smiled. "I didn't want your father to feel guilty." That evening, Ethan confronted his father. "I found Grandpa." Daniel stopped walking. "What did you say?" "I found Grandpa." Daniel's face turned white. Living on the street, Daniel's hands shook. "No, yes, and he's been there for years." Daniel sat down. For the first time in Ethan's life, he saw his father cry. "I searched for him. I hired investigators, but he disappeared. He hated me." Ethan shook his head. "No, he still loves you." The next day, Daniel and Ethan drove together. William was sitting under the same tree. Daniel slowly walked toward him. "Dad." William looked up. For a long moment. Neither spoke. Then Daniel fell to his knees. "I'm sorry, Williams." Eyes filled with tears. I should have listened to you. I chose money over family." William stood up and hugged his son. "I forgave you a long time ago." People walking by stopped to watch. Separated for 20 years. Finally found each other again. Daniel brought William home. Margaret opened the door. She dropped her coffee cup. "William." She ran into his arms. The whole family cried together for the first time in decades. The Parker family sat at one dinner table. A few weeks later, William made a request. "I don't want a mansion. I just want a simple home." Daniel smiled. "You'll have one, but I want to do something else." "What?" William pointed toward the city streets. "There are thousands of people just like me. People everyone ignores." Months passed. The Parker family created a charity that built homes for homeless families and helped elderly people find shelter and medical care. William visited every shelter personally. He would sit and talk with people because he knew loneliness was often worse than hunger. Ethan joined him. One day, Ethan saw a homeless man asking for food. Without hesitation, he bought him a warm meal and sat beside him. William smiled. "You've changed." Ethan nodded. "I judged people without knowing their story." William placed a hand on his shoulder. "Everyone has a story." Years later, William passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family at his funeral. Ethan stood before hundreds of people. He held up the old silver pocket watch. "My grandfather lost his home. He lost his money, but he never lost his kindness. I once laughed at him because he was homeless. I was ashamed when I discovered who he was, but he taught me that a person's value isn't measured by wealth. It's measured by the love they give to others." Ethan looked at the crowd. "And from this day forward, no one in our family will ever judge a person by the clothes they wear or the money they have." The audience stood in silence because they realized something important. The richest people are not always those with the biggest bank accounts. Sometimes the richest person is the one with the biggest heart. The end.